It's finally time to take a look at the 4 marks of excellence. Within World of Tanks, we're going to look over everything you need to know about marks of excellence themselves, how they're calculated, how you can get 4 marks, how you can get 3 marks, progress to the next stage in your marks of excellence, get up to those 100% marks that everyone wants to achieve. And of course, you can see on screen we have finally got the 100% marks of excellence on the Excalibur. They turn gold, as you can see. For those of you who don't know what the 4 mark is, it basically is that your marks of excellence turn gold. Usually they're white or black depending on which camo you got. Now you can see that they have turned gold, which is really, really nice. It's an extra achievement. It's something to go for. I don't have to stress about it, but anyway, getting off of the topic of the video, now back onto it. What we want to do is actually tell you all about how you can get your marks of excellence. Well, first things first, we need to tell you how they're calculated, and essentially how marks of excellence work out are the combination of both your dealt damage, so essentially how much actual damage you've done within the game to other tanks, and it then incorporates in your assistance damage into the game. So if you can manage to actually get assistance and damage at the same time, you will be able to actually get further on your marks of excellence. Say if you had 3,000 combined damage with 1,500 being actual damage, 1,500 being combined or assistance damage. When you combine it, 3,000 combined damage, it's better than having one game where you do absolutely no assistance damage but you deal 2,000 actual damage within the game. So essentially what you want to be doing is maximizing your spotting, maximizing how many times you aim at the opponent's tracks to be able to both get a penetrating shot as well as have the opportunity to track them, and then your teammates can essentially get some damage on them, and then you're going to get tracked assist, which allows you to get further on your marks of excellence. So it's all of those kind of things. There are some unsavory parts of marks of excellence, and that is the fact that sometimes you will have to purposely make your team have a worse chance of losing the game, or better chance of losing the game in order for you to do better for your marks of excellence calculation, rather than actually win the game itself. Because yes, essentially if your team have too quickly of a win, you're not going to be able to rack up that assistance damage and actual damage as quickly as maybe you would be able to farm opponents on the enemy team as they come towards you and are hunting you down at the end of the game, so you can pick up more damage overall, because you let your team essentially lose the game, and therefore you can pick up that damage towards the late half. Now what we'll do is we'll jump into a game and kind of show you the sort of things you want to be thinking about, and also talk about the equipment setup, because there's no point in me telling you exactly what equipment setup I use in the Excalibur, because it all varies dependent on what tank you're playing. This is a very sneaky tank. It's one that relies on staying hidden, and of course when we try and actually do a video on the marks of excellence and showcasing how you should play, we get Port, one of the worst maps for the Excalibur, to be honest with you, because you can't use your view range, you can't use your camo, and also having a fast firing gun on those corners becomes a little bit of a problem. So I guess we'll see how it develops, but I guess it's somewhat of a good example to show you what you should be doing regardless of the map. But essentially what you want to be doing when you're actually picking your marks of excellence and how you should be able to actually get them within the game is you want to be thinking about what tank you're playing, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the tank. For example, Excalibur being good at camouflage like we've talked about, I can basically accentuate that by putting on camo net. I can whack on advanced optics, so I'm going to have the best ability to spot opponents, which is going to give me that assistance damage. Now of course we talked about it, combined assistance damage is where you want to be, and that is no different for your marks, and so what you want to do is make sure that your equipment best suit that, because if you're not going to be able to get assistance damage from tracking, then maybe you want to go for spotting assistance damage, or maybe alternatively you just want to go for your actual just pump out all of the DPM all in one go, because you haven't got the view range to be able to deal anything other than the damage that we've talked about from assistance and tracking or whatever. And what you see me doing here, we are aiming for that track constantly, and you see we've already got assistance damage racking in from all over the place, and this is where you want to be in the Excalibur. You know, I'm using the view range, I'm locating myself in a nice central position, and we're putting rounds and rounds into the opponent. We somehow bounced around. Trust me, that doesn't happen very often in the Excalibur. And now what we need to do is make sure that we're moving around and keeping ourselves, you know, constantly in the fight, because sometimes, you know, you never want to have that game where, yeah, you didn't particularly lose any health, you didn't do anything necessarily wrong, but maybe you got left behind on the rear of the foot, so you end up actually doing less than what you would have done in that losing game. So this is where pushing up and making use of your hit points and making use of those actual kind of movement and stuff that you have in the tank, everything that makes the tank good, that is where you need to be thinking about pushing up and doing that sort of thing. Now, so you'll see me here, you know, we've pushed the middle, there's essentially nothing else to do really. And so we're just going to be poking and putting shots into this Plague Bringer as and when we can. So this is the kind of position that you want to be in. Sometimes it's good to actually just trade either way, regardless of if you take damage, because as again, like I said, if you don't do enough damage early on, you're not going to be able to do any more damage, and therefore you aren't going to go up on your marks of excellence. So essentially in this game, we've already, you know, probably met the requirement for us to be able to get to consistently stay at the amount of marks of excellence that we need in the Excalibur. Well, maybe not, but just slightly off, so we're not too far away now. A couple more extra shots within the game might secure it, and what you'll see me doing here, hopefully we can get that last shot on the Absolution, secure the victory on him. And now it's time to actually move up. Yes, it's a little bit tedious sometimes the way you have to play, but yeah, it's worth it in the end when you look at some of the things you need to do. We've put a couple into the Sentinel here, and he thinks he's safe underneath that. Absolutely not. Where are the hit points? That's kind of something you need to keep an eye on. Where are the enemy team hit points? Where are the enemy team in general? And where can I be able to get the most amount of damage by pushing up? Now, something that's a little bit annoying is essentially where the enemy team think that they can get some extra damage on you. Oh wow, well done Rover. Don't know what he was doing, but yeah, we've already had a decent game, and I'm sure that we won't go down on our marks of excellence for that game. Not particularly the best one, but for port and being put on a map like that, we'll go into another gameplay in just a second, and hopefully we'll get one of those new maps to showcase to you alongside the 4th marks of excellence. As you can see, of course they come up in the game. You have to get 100%, you know, it's consistent, just doing that damage and getting that assistance. Yes, I guess I can make it look somewhat easy for something like that, dealing 1,800 damage consistently in a tier 6. But at the end of the day, it comes down to experience. It comes down to knowing the tactics of being able to get those marks of excellence in. Yes, sometimes you do have to make a play that maybe isn't the best wise decision for your team. What I found throughout kind of my history of playing World of Tanks, although you can't really call it that, but anyway, it's being consistent. And if you can add in perks, if you can add in equipment, if you can pay that little bit extra, essentially, yes, premium rounds do help you on your marks of excellence. I'm not going to lie. If you can consistently have that opportunity where, you know, maybe you would have bounced if you fired standard, but you fired premium and you did actually pen, well, that's a free extra bit of damage that you wouldn't have done otherwise. So yes, 100% you can pay to progress your marks faster. That's why if you see any of the very elite players within World of Tanks console, often they have full premium ammunition because, you know, they've played the game for years and years and years. They've got enough silver. They don't need to worry about the whole silver situation like you and me may do. I certainly run out of silver very, very often just because I'm buying tanks to review and do videos on. But yeah, essentially, if you really want to get as far as possible, then yes, sometimes it is good to fire some premium rounds because it will let you get up through those marks of excellence quicker. And often, I'd say it's a unfavourable opinion, But essentially, being in a lower tier matchup allows you to get the possibility of getting more damage, or at least more assistance damage, than it does in a lower tier matchup. So sometimes I actually prefer being in a tier 7 game in a tank like the Excalibur, and alternatively sometimes I enjoy being in a tier 8 game in something like a Tiger 1 or whatever I'm deciding to mark. You know, going up a tier, that's not particularly too difficult, and it does allow you to kind of deal with the opponents that you're going to be coming up against. However, you can actually have more damage towards them because they have more hit points, and therefore you're going to be able to get that more damage, or at least the opportunity to get more damage than maybe you would have in a tier 6 game. Am I saying that, you know, tier 7 games are completely fun and balanced for every single person playing in it? Well, no, absolutely not. I'd be a fool to say that, but it definitely helps when, you know, maybe you're having a pretty bad game, or maybe a team have just gone the wrong way, or something's gone wrong. Essentially, you can still have a good game if you put yourself in the right position and just wait it out sometimes, because games tend to last longer the more hit points enemy tanks have, and yeah, I'm sure you'll find that out if you actually play any length of games. But there we go, you can see we've already picked up a little bit of assistance damage from this KV3, who's for some reason going through the middle. We're going to load a premium round here because we'll need it for this, or now that he's gone complete side on, probably won't need it, but maybe we can get a tracking shot. No, we didn't, unfortunate, but you can see what we're doing here now is just making sure that we constantly detect the opponent if they do poke, things like the AMX up there, this KV3, and sometimes it's good if you've not really got much going on, maybe you should poke a different angle, see if you can spot someone else, because if you can keep as many opponents spotted as possible, then you're going to have the biggest chance of getting more assistance damage within the game. Now, am I saying it works every single game? Well, no, because trust me, I have awful games too, and I'm sure many of you have seen some of the gameplays that I've put up on the channel where I haven't done too well. Often people rush in on these lower tier games. You are a lower tier, so of course you aren't going to be able to deal the same amount of damage in the same amount of time as a tier higher or 2 tiers higher that you're going to be coming up against, and so you do need to think about that when you play. And I see a lot of people not doing that, and then they get the kind of negative effects of all of that we've just talked about. Now what you can do, however, is put the pressure on the opponents that you're going to be fighting. Yes, you have a lower amount of hit points, but often, you know, if you use your brain a little bit, sometimes you can still have a good game. Yes, I'm not going to poke this guy because there's just no need. My teammate is behind him, don't know why he would ram him there. Just a bit of a silly move by my teammate there. But essentially we can still have a nice game. Maybe we'll spot this guy, don't know if we will. And of course, there we go. Oh, for God's sake. Anyway, point still stands. You know, you can still have really good games. Yes, you do get one shot by well, not one shot, but in fact, I might have been one shot actually. I don't even know, I can't remember. But anyway, that happens from time to time. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it because artillery things. But yeah, my point still stands. Make sure you put yourself in a position where you can get that spotting damage, where you can get all of the other things, and just for kind of a showcase, you know, yes, you can get 3 marks on lots of different things. Getting 4 marks on a tier 10 is going to be a lot harder than a tier 6. Let me just point that out, because you're not playing against players that maybe are less experienced. You're playing against the more experienced players because they typically play at these higher tiers. You also get the thing that most people, by the time they get to tier 10, have enough silver to purchase equipment, which they may not do at tier 6, and so you don't get the advantage over other players that maybe don't use equipment. Same with premium rounds, people kind of figure it out by tier 10 that if you just press A, you're going to be able to actually pen the majority of things within the game, and that kind of becomes more and more apparent as you get through all of the classes and as you play the different tanks within the game. And so there, I guess that's kind of a massive kind of ramble about marks of excellence, how they are. Basically what you want to do, kit out your tank to the best of your ability. Obviously I haven't done that in the FV201 chieftain, so we're going to swap out the camo now. That's probably because I ran out of silver at the time of actually putting the equipment on. What you want to be doing: advanced loader, advanced we've got gun stabilizer, and then we'll probably put vents or coated optics on the tank. Maybe vents, because that will allow us to get some view range as well as actually having the reload and being able to dish the damage out quicker. So there we go. Very nice game. Very nice couple of games, and of course we have picked up that 4 marks of excellence. We got a weird badge for some reason, don't know why, but there we go. That is the 4 marks of excellence. That's what you kind of need to do, and I hope it somewhat helped you if you're thinking about getting that damage. It's mainly about the setup and what you're using and how you think within the game, because yes, everyone wants to win every single game, but sometimes if you are going for that, just that goal of marks of excellence, maybe throw the game a little bit. I know that's a controversial opinion, but maybe hang back a little bit where you would have pushed in super hard to save, your teammates, because sometimes it can work out in your favour. I'm not saying don't do anything for the beginning of the game. I'm just saying maybe you don't want to full on push super aggressive into a position that will 100% secure you the win straight away, because the more of your teammates that are alive, the more of them are going to be able to take some of that damage that you're after. However, you also want to be able to get assistance damage, so if there's less teammates on your team, they're going to get less spotting assistance. So if you are the one spotting, you're going to get more of that chunk of spotting assistance damage, and so you'll end up with a bigger combined total than anyone else within the game. So there we go. That's kind of my opinions on the different playstyles that you can use. Hopefully this video did showcase you. Yes, we didn't have any particularly amazing games, 2 pretty average ones, but at least it kind of shows you the thought process, and yes, you can still have good games in tier 8 ones. In fact, they're kind of the ones I'm after when I'm playing in my tier 6s, for those huge games where you have 4K in a tier 6 or whatever it may be the case. But there we go. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you want to check out more guide videos that are a bit like this, where we talk through some of the key things within World of Tanks console, modern armor, then definitely check this video out on screen right now. And of course, if you want to check out the latest update news and information regarding this new update with the 4 marks of excellence, check out yesterday's video on screen right now. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in one of those videos. Goodbye.